A thief so cunning that the police forces of around 40 countries united to catch him, yet they couldn't apprehend him. This thief had set his sights on Malaysia's Twin Towers, where he planned to steal approximately 8,000 crore taka. Did this thief succeed? Friends, the movie I'm going to tell you about today is called Entrapment. This movie is filled with brilliant twists, so make sure to watch till the end. Without further delay, let's dive into the story of today's movie. The movie begins with a nighttime scene in New York City. We see a thief standing on top of a building, planning a heist. He sets up some equipment on the rooftop, attaches a rope to himself, and jumps off the building. Moments later, the rope positions him right outside the room he needs to enter. Using imported tools, he carefully opens the window and slips inside. At that moment in the darkness, it seems someone is watching him from a distance. The thief heads straight to an expensive painting hanging on the wall of the room. He cautiously removes it from behind as an alarm is set inside it. If the painting is pulled incorrectly, the alarm will go off and he'll be caught. He successfully removes the painting, rolls it up, and places it inside a container. The container has the recipient's address written on it, addressed to someone named Green, meaning it will be sent to this person. He then drops the container into a postbox. The scene cuts here, and we move to Malaysia. In Malaysia, we see Green, the person to whom the painting is being sent. Green receives a call informing him that the painting has been sent to his address, and he's thrilled to hear this. This woman's name is Virginia, and this is her office. Virginia works as an insurance inspector at an insurance company. The painting that was stolen was insured by this very company. Virginia, along with her senior officer, is now trying to figure out who is behind the theft by reviewing CCTV footage. At this point, her colleague Hector asks her who stole the painting, warning that if they fail to solve this case, their company will have to pay a huge amount, and they might even lose their jobs. Just then, they get hold of footage from an old auction of the painting. In the footage, Virginia spots a most wanted thief. She suspects him and tells Hector that his name is Mac, and she's certain Mac is behind this theft because there's no other thief as intelligent as Mac in the world. Hearing this, Hector asks if they should arrest Mac now. Virginia thinks for a moment and says that in a few days, an auction for an expensive mask will take place in London, and she believes Mac will be there. They can arrest him from there. Following the plan, Virginia prepares to travel to England. In the next scene, we see Virginia has arrived in England. She's sitting in a car in front of a shopping mall, waiting for Mac. At that moment, Mac arrives at the mall in a car and enters the building. Virginia spots him, but soon after, an emergency alarm goes off inside the mall, and everyone starts rushing out. Virginia sees Mac coming out as well, but in the crowd, Mac suddenly vanishes. Disappointed, Virginia returns to her hotel. Upon entering her room, she notices that her suitcase, which contained all her clothes, is missing. With no other option, she wraps herself in a bedsheet and falls asleep. In the middle of the night, she suddenly wakes up and sees Mac sitting on a chair in front of her. Startled, she asks what he's doing there. Mac, in turn, asks why she's been following him. Virginia explains that there's an auction for an expensive mask next week, and she needs his help to steal it, which is why she's been tailing him. Mac replies that he already knows about the auction and is attending it as a guest. He shows her a magazine with details about the auction, saying he'll meet her tomorrow, and then disappears from the room. When Virginia turns on the room's lights, Mac is nowhere to be found. She's completely shocked at how Mac vanished in an instant. The next morning, we see Virginia and Mac driving to an antique shop. Following Mac's instructions, Virginia enters the shop and inquires about the price of a special vase. As soon as the shop owner tells her the price, Virginia reveals her identity, showing her security agency card. She says she needs the vase for an investigation and won't pay for it, promising to return it once the investigation is over. While they're talking, someone is secretly listening to their conversation from a distance. Hearing Virginia's words, the shop owner slyly picks up a knife and in an instant holds it to Virginia's throat, saying that no one can take the vase without paying the proper price. The vase was in Virginia's hands when she suddenly struck Swapna on the head with it, causing Swapna to instantly lose consciousness and collapse to the ground. Virginia noticed that the vase had broken, but inside it, a camera film was attached. Virginia picked it up and got into the car. As soon as she sat in the car, the man who had been secretly watching them from inside the shop attacked their car with a knife. At that moment, Max sped off at a tremendous speed, escaping from the scene. Virginia showed the film to Mac and asked him to explain it, refusing to hand it over unless he told her the truth. Mac then revealed that the camera film contained the blueprint of the building where the mask auction would take place. As they continued talking, they arrived in front of a hotel. They went straight to the top floor of the hotel, where Mac shared something that completely shocked Virginia. He said, "The company you work for had 4 expensive tracking chips insured, and I stole them. I placed one of those chips in your bag, and that bag is now in the Kryptonic building, the one you were surveilling me from outside." Mac then showed Virginia some photographs of her watching the building through binoculars. Even though she hadn't committed the theft, she was now trapped in Mac's web, with no choice but to comply with him. Mac further warned her, "If you don't support me, I'll give these photos to the police, and you'll go to jail for stealing the chip." Left with no option, Virginia handed over the camera film to him. Afterward, they boarded a chopper from the top floor of the building and landed on an island where Mac owned a massive castle. This revealed just how big a thief Mac was. He had bought the entire island with his own money and built the Grand Castle. Seeing all this, Virginia was utterly stunned. That night, Mac came to Virginia's room and told her, "Rest tonight. Tomorrow we'll discuss the theft plan." The next morning, Mac started explaining the building's blueprint to Virginia. Within a short time, he made her understand the entire layout. When the topic of who would go inside came up, Virginia insisted that she would go in and carry out the theft. Initially, Mac objected, but later he agreed. In the next scene, we see Virginia practicing gymnastics, and Mac realizes that with proper training, she could easily pull off the theft. At that moment, Mac brought a painting to show Virginia, and she was shocked because it was the same painting that had been stolen at the beginning of the movie. Here comes another twist. We learn that Virginia, like Mac, is also a professional thief. Though not as notorious as Mac, she has a record of some high-profile thefts. The painting theft shown at the start was actually carried out by Virginia. During the theft, we saw the thief, Virginia, drop the painting into a postbox while someone watched her through binoculars from a distance. That person was none other than Mac. After Virginia left, Mac retrieved the painting from the postbox and kept it for himself. In other words, the painting never reached Mr. Greeny. Virginia had planned to pin the blame for her theft on Mac, but she failed. She had no idea that Mac was already keeping an eye on her theft. This makes it clear that Mac had been watching Virginia from the very beginning. To clarify further, when Mac learned that Virginia was trying to frame him for her theft, he stole the chips and planted one in her bag to trap her. Now tell me, how did you like this twist? Honestly, watching the movie up to this point completely blew my mind. How did it feel for you? Please share your thoughts in the comment box. Let's now see the rest of the story. The next day, a man named John arrived at Mac's house and provided some equipment for the theft. Mac and John knew each other very well. During their conversation, Mac mentioned to John that Virginia would carry out their next theft. Then began Virginia's training for the heist. First, Mac taught her how to blast through a cement block or wall using dynamite. Next came the main phase, where the mask was kept. The room containing the mask was protected by lasers, making it nearly impossible to pass through them without triggering the alarm. If anything touched the lasers, the alarm would go off, and the thief would be caught red-handed. To train for this, Max set up red threads with small bells attached to them. Virginia had to navigate through the threads without touching them, or the bells would ring. Virginia carefully moves forward through the threads, but after some time, her body brushes against a thread, causing a bell to ring, meaning she fails. Due to her failure, Max scolds her harshly, and Virginia, frustrated because the task was extremely difficult and she was giving her all, shouts back at him. The next day, practice begins again, and this time Mac blindfolds Virginia. In this condition, Virginia starts her practice. Slowly and correctly avoiding the web of red threads, she moves forward and finally completes her task, reaching the mask. She picks up the mask with her own hands, and seeing this, Mac's tension eases slightly. That night, Mac gives Virginia a dress to wear to the mask exhibition. The next morning, Virginia rides a bicycle to a phone booth and calls Hector. She tells him she is now with Mac, and that when Mac steals the mask, she will catch him red-handed. Meanwhile, Mac, at his house, uses a personal device to listen to their conversation. But when Virginia returns home, he doesn't say anything to her. The next day, they wear the dress and go to the mask exhibition, where everyone has gathered to see the valuable mask. We also see John, who had previously visited Mac's house. Mac and Virginia approach the mask. Under the pretense of fixing Virginia's dress, Mac places a tracking device on the floor in front of the mask. Using their foot measurements for calculation, they place the device in a spot free of lasers. Afterward, they leave the exhibition. Once the exhibition ends, the room is sealed and the invisible lasers are activated. Meanwhile, we see Virginia and Mac entering a tunnel by boat. They jump into the water, swim, and reach a gate underwater. They cut through the gate and enter, arriving at a chamber with no water. Mac pulls out a display device that shows the room's layout, and without wasting time, they move in that direction. They reach a point directly below the room with the tracking device Mac had placed earlier. They attach several dynamites to the ceiling. The floor is so thick that a single blast wouldn't break it, and any noise could alert the guards. So they devise a meticulous plan. At midnight, a large clock in the building will chime 12 times. They divide the blast into 12 smaller explosions synchronized with the chimes. When midnight strikes, the bell rings, and the 12 explosions occur in sync, breaking the floor without the guards hearing anything. Mac then uses a special device to make the invisible lasers visible. Virginia enters the empty room, unable to see the lasers, but following Mac's instructions to approach the mask. She moves cautiously and slowly. Meanwhile, due to the midnight chime, the guards take a brief break, and the guard outside the room leaves. Virginia finally reaches the mask, enters a secret code, and removes the mask cover. She slips the mask into a wide pocket in her dress and places a piece of chewing gum in its place to avoid triggering any alarms. Following Mac's instructions, she exits the room. By then, the guard returns and grows suspicious. Looking inside, he sees a monkey mask in place of the valuable one. Realizing it's been stolen, he immediately sounds the emergency alarm, and all security guards begin searching for them. Before the guards can catch them, Mac and Virginia escape to their boat. Mac boards first and takes the mask from Virginia. He then tries to drown her in the water, as she had labeled him a thief even without stealing a painting. Seizing the moment, Virginia holds a knife hidden in her boot to Mac's throat, making it clear she could kill him and escape with the mask and painting. However, she hands the knife to Mac, who begins to trust her. The scene cuts here. The scene shifts, and we see Mac and Virginia arriving in Malaysia. Virginia reveals she has her next mission there, which is why she came. They head straight to their room, which is empty with no bed, only an open floor. However, the room's balcony, looking from there, one could see Malaysia's famous Twin Towers. Virginia said, "We'll sit here and plan our heist. That Twin Tower over there houses the world's largest bank. From this bank, black money is sent in small amounts to all the banks around the world. The vault where that money is kept can only be opened with a retinal scan of the bank's chairman." Mac asked, "Where will you get that retinal scan from?" Virginia replied, "I've teamed up with the city's biggest Don, Greenie." Greenie's men collaborated with the bank's security guard and one day sprayed something in the chairman's eyes. The chairman then went to an eye hospital for a checkup. During that checkup, the doctor there took a retinal scan of his eyes, and now I have it. Then Virginia showed him a CD cassette and said, "I worked at a security company and used all that technology to create this program. With this, I can give a single instruction to transfer small amounts of dollars from every bank in the world to my own account. My target is $1 billion, which is about 9,000 crore rupees." Hearing all this, Mac initially refused to work with her, but when Virginia offered him a 50% share, Mac agreed. The next day, Mac went out and took photographs and videos of the building. He returned and started planning how they would enter the building. Meanwhile, Virginia went to Mr. Greenie and gave him the painting and the suitcase that contained the mask. Greenie took the painting, but instead of paying her, he offered a device without which Virginia couldn't pull off the heist. Then Greenie opened the suitcase and found a stone inside. Furious, he threw Virginia out. On the other hand, Mac met with John and gave him the mask, saying he would deliver the painting in a few days. Hearing this, John grew suspicious and made it clear that he knew Mac was working with Virginia. He warned, "If I don't get that painting, I'll expose everything," and left without taking the mask. From this, we understand that Mac and John were business partners. That day when Mac returned home, Virginia attacked him, and they fought for quite some time because the mask wasn't in the suitcase, which caused Greenie to lose respect for Virginia. This is how they kept crossing each other's paths. The next day, Mac returned the mask to her. Virginia then took the mask to Greenie and got the device in return. But while she was returning home, someone kidnapped her from the market and took her to another place where Hector was waiting. It turns out that since Virginia's last conversation with Hector, he had been keeping an eye on her. There, he showed her pictures of her being close with Mac and said, "I've figured out that you've teamed up with Mac and are planning to deceive our insurance company." Virginia responded saying she would have Mac arrested in a few days and that all these incidents in the photos were part of her plan. Hector let her go, and we see John arriving there. From the conversation between John and Hector, it's clear that Hector had paid John to gather information about Virginia so he could have her arrested. Now comes that night. Virginia and Mac set out for the bank. Mac, dressed as a cleaning staff member, entered the building. Meanwhile, Virginia, dressed in a beautiful gown, arrived at the New Year's party as a guest. Mac went to the lift, reached the security camera control room, set up a device, and left. Meanwhile, we see Hector arriving at the hotel. He went straight to the CCTV room, introduced himself, and instructed that there should be no surveillance issues that day, as he was sent for that purpose. On the other side, Mac set a timer on a device and then met up with Virginia. He took her into a lift, which Hector noticed. After crossing a few floors, they got off on the 70th floor, pressed a button outside the lift, and re-entered it. This time, Hector couldn't see them because Mac had used his device to block the lift's camera. Then they changed their clothes and got off on the 86th floor. There, they sprayed something on the floor, revealing invisible lasers. Carefully, they crossed the lasers and reached the vault room. Using a device, they detected the room's password, pressed it, and the room's door swings open, and they rush inside the vault. From there, they head straight to the main computer. Virginia uses the bank chairman's retina scan to unlock the main computer. They then connect the server system to the main computer using some wires, ensuring that the money transfer goes directly into her account. Meanwhile, a team based in New York executes a money transfer from this bank every New Year's Eve within a 10-second window. This is because the vault shuts down for exactly 10 seconds just before midnight on New Year's Eve and restarts at 12 a.m. Therefore, they must complete the money transfer within those 10 seconds. As the final 10 seconds begin, all the money is successfully transferred to Virginia's account. Downstairs, everyone is immersed in New Year's celebrations. As soon as Virginia disconnects the wire from the main computer, the vault's emergency alarm goes off, and the main computer goes into lockdown. However, they notice that the CD used for the money transfer is stuck. Virginia uses a wrench to block it. By then, a massive security force storms into the building. Seeing the vault door closing, Mac throws a tool toward Virginia, which she uses to block the door. Mac quickly retrieves the CD cassette. Realizing that if they don't escape now, they'll be trapped inside the vault, they waste no time and rush out. They head straight to an elevator and start descending. Hector notices an elevator coming down from above and immediately jams it. Mac and the others find themselves in danger. Mac uses an iron rod to pry open the elevator door, and they escape through it. Meanwhile, from a nearby building, the military spots them and fires mustard gas. The entire floor fills with gas, making it impossible to breathe. As the military arrives on the floor, Mac breaks a glass window and escapes the room. They then head to an emergency exit room, where their only escape route is a rope stretched between two buildings. Holding on to the rope, they carefully make their way to the adjacent building. A single mistake could send them plummeting below. After moving a short distance with great caution, the rope they're walking on starts to unravel. They end up hanging below, clinging to the rope with their hands to cross. But after a short distance, even the rope they're holding on to comes loose, leaving them dangling. Virginia is lower down, while Mac is higher up. With great effort, they manage to reach the connected passage between the two buildings, an area heavily guarded by security. Evading the guards, Mac and the others reach the top passage. At that moment, a flying security helicopter spots them. They raise their hands in surrender, but at Virginia's signal, they sprint to the other side of the passage. They reach an emergency exit ventilation duct, open it, and just as the military arrives, the door closes behind them. Mac hands Virginia a parachute and helps her escape, while he stays behind. Later, Virginia emerges from an underground dock. Down below, everyone is enjoying New Year's celebrations, but Virginia is heartbroken, believing Mac has been arrested by the police. The scene shifts, and we see Virginia sitting at a train station, thinking the police might have killed Mac by now. Suddenly, Mac appears. Virginia runs to him and embraces him. Just then, John, Hector, and several police officers arrive one by one. Virginia is stunned, and we learn that John has been working with the FBI for a long time, and Mac only recently found out. Hector and John had been planning to arrest Virginia, and Mac had joined their plan. Hearing this, Virginia feels devastated. At that moment, Mac approaches her to talk and whispers in her ear, "I've put the CD in your pocket and a gun in the other." Virginia understands Mac's plan, swiftly pulls out the gun, and points it at Mac's head. In a clever move, she leaves Mac behind and jumps onto a moving train. Seeing this, John, Hector, and the police force on the platform head toward the next station. Moments later, the train passes by, and we see Virginia standing on the opposite side of the platform. She had tricked them by getting off on the other side. Virginia starts shouting Mac's name, and soon Mac appears. Both of them look overjoyed as they embrace each other. Virginia says, "I have another heist plan." They board the next train and leave together, and that's how the movie ends. Friends, this entire movie was filled with countless twists. Let us know in the comments how you like this heist movie. If you're new, please give it a like, subscribe, and share this video as much as possible. We haven't uploaded videos on our channel for a long time, which has caused our channel's reach to drop significantly. From now on, I promise regular videos will be uploaded. So please share this video. See you in the next video. Until then, stay well and stay healthy.